Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is GLAZER of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone, and we've got an absolutely humongous day for you. Not only has Second Dinner released the information on the OTA early, but we had a patch earlier this week, and we have humongous data mines. So hopefully you're interested in getting all the information for those, because that's what today's video is going to be about. We'd also like to invite you personally to join the Snap Judgments League. This will be Season 3 with up to $500 in prizes. It will kick off on July 8th with a game a week thereafter. It is open to anyone on any tier of the Patreon, and you only have the time commitment of one game a week. You'll have a chance to play with a ton of top content creators and other great players and be a member of a great community. Join the Discord to the Snap Judgments League in the description to this video. In addition, every Thursday, we ask a whole bunch of top players what they think about the new card of the week. PHASTOS is this week's new card, and he has been divisive. And since he's so divisive, we have just a wealth of information from players that are ranked in the top 100, content creators, generally stellar players, excuse me, because they will have the best immediate takes on this card because they play the game at the highest level the most often. So Aoi, French creator, top 10 player, says, "It's kind of a scam. The theory makes us dream lots of possible things. Practice brings us back to reality. Randomness on the effects is not good. And what's more, it's a dead card if it's not played on turn 3, which impacts games. It's not played early by taking the place of another card that might be more versatile. Not to mention that to make it profitable, you have to play cards boosted by its effect, and that's not always the case depending on the given effects." Yeah. That basically covers it. I think Aoi sort of nails it. We're going to talk more about this at the end. I'll interject as necessary. Gnome, top 100 player, phenomenal streamer. Check him out at Gnome Plays. Says, "I don't think there's a spot he's best in slot, but he's fun and doesn't seem to make some decks work." Okay, so he's fun, but he's not necessary. Okay, sounds good to me. Thank you, Gnome. Avazord, phenomenal player. Will be on the podcast this week. Brazil's top player. Seemed better in theory than practice, not as easy to derive value as imagined. Fair enough. Really highly rated before the season, and everyone sort of came down on him the longer we waited. Jimmy Dickens, another top 100 player, third place in the Snap Judgments League this last season. Not as bad as I imagined, but not stellar either. And then sort of a bunch of eyes and fine. That seems to be the going rate on this. Is anyone more positive? Well, we've got a bunch more players. Spyro, another phenomenal player. Great streamers. Check him out. Top 100 player. Often top 20 player. Solid card. People are going crazy to counter it. More versatile than I originally thought. Hey, that's almost positive. Still, the upside is solid here. .geo says, .geo is one of the best players in the world. Won our Snap Grand Prix. Has finished number 1 on the Infinite Leaderboard. Thanos only, maybe Surfer, can be OP on 3, fine on 4, otherwise dead. Sounds right to me. But, meh. But who won the last season of Snap Judgment League, finished number 5 2 seasons ago, or number 4 2 seasons ago. Meh. I'd like to try him with 1 drops, but too much Mobius and Killmonger. Okay. Safety Blade, person who invented Slayer Blade, the Ravonna Professor X Cannonball deck. Unbelievable player, Marvel Snap Zone writer. Boring, fine to strong, playable, but often does little. Though when it wins, all caps wins. BBAK, former number 1 player, has finished number 2 as well. Good for Thanos, not Surfer. Meanwhile, Tanjo says, meh. Tanjo, number 1 last season, number 2 season before. Meh, we'll make a couple Surferless. His main strength is cube equity. And W says, it's stronger than people are stating, but not a powerhouse. Its day will come. I think this is a skip. My immediate reaction is this is the worst card of the month, including Makari. I'm gonna revisit this tomorrow with more games, but playing him on 3 is just a pain in the ass. It's just a pain in the ass to have to play him on 3. There's games where you have him in hand, right? And you want a Mobius and you want a Red Guardian. And if you're trying to play him on 3, or you want a Nocturne to handle a location that you can already tell is going to be a problem. And when you're playing him on 3, you're not playing those other cards. And now you need to wait to see if the cards you draw get the effects you want while your opponent gets an advantage. Because you played what ultimately is a 3-3 hope to do something later, and you fall behind in tempo. I'm not about this card. I was really high on it even 2 days ago in the new card video. I think I'm off it. I don't think this is where it's at. All right. Balance changes. Let's go over what they are. Then we'll go through the cards one by one with decks. So we've got Angela, who is going from a 2-0 +2 to a 2-3 with only +1. each time a card is played on her. This is a huge change. We've had Angela do this before, but she had significantly less power last time she did this. We'll see if this change is good enough. Hercules finally gets the change we've all been begging for. He goes from 4/7 to 3/4. Thank you. I think that's going to be really nice. Kingpin goes from 2/3 to 1/2. Well, great. Miles Morales from 4/5 to 4/6. From 4/4 to 4/6 goes High Evolutionary himself. We couldn't give him the 7, friends. Nick Fury goes from 4/5 to 4/6 as well. And the Scourge of the meta for months, ALIOTH, goes from 6/8 to 6/10. Only text change here is Angela, and that's just a number change. Everything else, well, let's get to it. But before we do, please hit that sub button. It would really mean the world to us. It really helps us grow. We bring you the biggest giveaways in Marvel Snap. We are giving away a season pass in tomorrow's video. This is your warning. Tomorrow's video will have a season pass giveaway in it. We give away more season pass than anybody. We do 7 days a week of videos. And in addition to those 7 days a week of videos, we help shape the meta. We get you the best decks the fastest. If you want to be playing the best decks before they become hot in the meta, this is the channel you need to be subscribed to. Please hit that sub button, and if you've subbed, like, comment, watch as long as you can. It really does help us, and we could use the extra support. Thank you. All right, so Angela goes from a 2/0 after you play a card here plus 2 power to a 2/3 after you play a card here plus 1 power. So this is much worse on the high end, but she should still be with Kitty Pryde on curve very easily a 2/4, 2/6. She's much better to play at the end of the game. She no longer works with Ravonna, but she's much harder to hit with Red Guardian, which you'd almost rather she still be hit by Red Guardian, right? Because that would protect something else, and her downside's not as bad when she is anymore. This is going to make Thena better, because Thena is now the premier 2-drop. Now that Angela is not the premier 2-drop, I think Thena is just, like, straight up better now. It was arguable which one was better before. Thena is better now. I think this is still a good card in the current shells it's being played in, which are just trying to use her for a bit of early scaling to stay ahead of the curve. But I think that she's significantly worse in bounce decks. Like your bounce decks, your move decks that were trying to use her as like a win condition, I think that she's not that anymore. Although, look, a decent, if you play her late, she's better. She's not a bad card now, right? And she's still probably one of the biggest 2s. But like you have US Agent, who's often a 2/11, right? You have the easy 2/8 of Thena, to often more than that. So like, is Angela better than these cards? Sorry, 2/7. Is Angela better than these cards? No, I think she's worse. But she's still an interesting card. She's still a powerful card, and she's still an early series card that you can get use out of. I think that this is still the best deck in the game. I don't think they did anything enough to it to make it significantly worse. Angela as a 2/3 means that she no longer synergizes with Ravonna, but you're still fine to play Kitty on her. If you're running Jeff over Juggernaut, as many do, you can do that. You've got Nocturne that you can drop on Angela. Like, you just get her to a 2, and obviously Kitty, right? If you're just filling her lane, she's a 2/4, 5, 6. Great. A 2/6 is perfectly fine. And if you're cheating at all, you're getting a 2/7, 2/8. Again, you're totally fine with a 2/7, 2/8. Just especially in a deck that runs Iron Man, like playing that in a lane with a Mockingbird, right? Remember how powerful Mockingbird is as a 1 or 2/9? Great. Angela's a 2/8, and who could easily be a 2/9? Still going in this deck. I still think this is the best deck. We're gonna have to alter the play patterns a little bit, think about it a little bit more. But Ravonna stays, right? Like, Ravonna's still working for Thena, Morph, Sage, Iron Man. It's perfectly fine. This list is still the best, I think, in my personal opinion. All right, Hercules is updated. He is no longer a 4/7. Now he's a 3/4. I really wish they made him a 3/5, but I think they're scared of how good he's going to be. And I think that might be true. He's not just more playable. I think he's a lot more powerful. I'm not sure if move is going to be meta with him now, but the September cards that we're going to talk about later are going to be completely insane with this. So even if he's not amazing right now, he, I think, will be great later. And I think Phoenix Force might be insane with him right now. If you can Phoenix on 5, if you get him out, and that one move, assuming you can find a Ghost Spider, is going to make a card humongous, and that's really what you need to do with Hercules to pay off, right? If you can make a card humongous or get those extra couple of clones, I think that this is going to be great. So if you don't want the basic move, I think he's going to be in well, Surferless, he's a 3 now, right? Move Surfer has always been close to good, largely because Vulture is a 3, and Vulture plus 1 Hercules trigger is a ton of power. That is a like a 15 something silly, right? Like, it's absurd how much power that is. Vulture becomes a 3/8 or 3/9. It escapes me. Whatever. If Vulture becomes a 3/9, then it becomes a 3/15, and like at that point, you're just probably winning, right? And like that doesn't seem hard to do. That's a single cloak, a single Ghost Spider, a single Iron Fist on that card, and then you can pump these cards further, making Hercules a 4/6 with Surfer, so on and so forth. I think that's worth it. I think that's really, really powerful, and I'm excited to try that list. I think somewhere Benjamin Roller, hey Ben, we're gonna look at a version of your current deck in a little bit. Our friend Benjamin Roller, who plays Move Surfer to at the top of Infinite every season and is a stellar Move Surfer player, is going to break something with this. So I'm excited for Ben to break something. It's also worth noting that this is a Series 4 card, and it's in Spotlights with Arasham next week. So that Arasham Spotlight has just got some more value, and since I don't think you should open for Phastos, although you still want Corvus, so... although, since I don't think you should open for Phastos, that save for Arasham, who looks super fun, and Hercules looks a lot more exciting. Alright, so I called this ADHD. I have ADHD, I'm not being insulting, so hopefully you don't take it that way. But this is bounce and move, because we're bouncing and moving. We've got Hercules basically as an enabler here, and if he costs 3, then he works better as an enabler with Ghost Spider and Iron Fist. And he works better as an enabler with Ghost Spider and Iron Fist, then your Falcon and Beast are better, right? And like now you've got extra moves, and you can get that Vulture huge, you can get that Dagger huge, you can get that Torch huge. You can get those cards big, and you can get them like absurdly big with Hercules. Then I think you win games on Marvel Snap. I think this is a real list as soon as this change happens, and I will be trying Move and being sad about trying Move because I am not good at Move for the 1000th time with this change. I think that, just for the record, I think that like Angela's the most impactful change, because Angela was like one of the best cards in the game. This is, in my opinion, right up there with Angela. If not now, then by September. All right. Kingpin is now went from a 2/3 to 1/2. It's the same exact text. It still does the stompy thing when a card moves in its location. I don't think this has any meta relevance at all. This could be in Move Surfer, but it's still probably not it. It's worth a try in exactly this deck. I know it says a 2/3. The patch, but sorry, OTA hasn't happened yet. But this is Ben Roller's move list. He was running America Chavez in that one spot. I think Kingpin is just a straight up upgrade, and this list is pretty damn good, right? Like if Spider-Man / Polaris end up moving a card into that lane, that can be a Craven lane and a Kingpin lane, and then that's just free power, right? Like you're perfectly fine just saying, I'll take some free power. Like if it hits once, that's as much power as America Chavez gives. If it hits twice, you're playing with found money. Is this going to be a metal list suddenly? No, but it is at least interesting and different, right? So we take what we can get. Next up, we have Miles, who is going to a 4/6 from a 4/5. Okay, it's been cut from regular move. Cards like Captain Marvel are just better for those decks. So it could go back into those decks. It could go into Moon Girl decks, but it's probably going to need one more power to really get there. If this is a 4/7, we're starting to talk. I just think the game has power crept up enough that like this is still rough. This could find a way into some Moon Girl decks, but the problem is that Silky decks still probably prefer Captain Marvel. Like I stuck it in this list, and I'm going to try it here, right? And my logic to trying it here over Captain Marvel is Thena wants you to be able to play a 1, and if I move my Jeff, Silk, Nocturne, whatever, I've got that 1 cost card on turn like 3 to play, right? I can play Elsa and that Miles now, or I can play Nocturne and that Miles now, and now I'm starting to get some extra benefit out of having this card. I can play it at the end of the game with my Red Hulk. So like I think that might be the way to play it with Thena. I think this is benefit for that card in particular. Alright, High Evolutionary becomes a 4/6. I think the question in determining how much of an impact this has on your game is how new you are. Because in a High Evolutionary deck, you still would rather not play this, right? You've got the 3/6 of Cyclops once he triggers once. So, like, you can just play another 3 and spare an energy, and then you've got the extra stats basically for this right away from Cyclops. So, the question is, how new are you? If you're about half to 2/3 of done with Series 3, this is just a slight touch-up. And or obviously further if you're full Series 3, whatever. You don't really care about this. But if you're early Series 3, this is still the best Series 5 to target, and this makes those decks a bit better. They say in the notes that other changes are coming to Evolutionary, so we'll see what those are before we evaluate. But again, like if you're early Series 3 and you have the tokens or ability to do so, buy High Evolutionary. It opens up a deck for you in a way that nothing else does. But, like, caveat, if you're later Series 3 and you have a bunch of other cards or you're full Series 3 complete, this isn't meta at this moment. This is a standard high Evo deck. I think that this is a perfectly fine place to be if this is the kind of deck you are looking at and want to play. Oopsie. I went forward. My bad. This is a perfectly fine deck. You can play the Magic double version if you prefer. Please note this is a relatively cheap deck. Still, this one has Red Guardian in it, but Red Guardian could be one of 50 different cards. It could be Rogue, right? Everything else here, it's just like, hey, look, a second 4/6. Why the hell not? That's literally all this does. It's just an extra bit of stats. This is the least impactful change, I think. Nick Fury is now a 4/6. I don't think he's playable. I think he is still an actively bad card. There is some small possibility he goes into Arasham if Arasham is much more consistent than we think, where like with Quinjet and Arasham, you can play all 3 6s. But generally speaking, right now, all he is he's the only card that really adds 3 cards to your hand, outside of discarding the Helicarrier, right? So given that he does that, he's kind of okay in some Devil Dino Shells. He's like a bad card. I don't think I care. This is like a card that's a bad card that got slightly better, but it's still a bad card. This is just a random Devil Dino Shell. It's trying to do Collector and Devil Dino stuff, and because it's trying to do that, it can run Nick Fury. Again, I don't think this deck is any good. Straight up, I think this is a bad deck. Classic Dino, bunch of shield agents, lose some games. I don't know. But it's all I got. Nick Fury is a bad card, friends. Don't start playing him because he got 1 more power. Alright, Alioth is big. Alioth should have been played more. He's strength gated now. Like, him being able to win the lane when he turns off the abilities is huge. Him being just a nice big body is huge. He was underplayed and better than he saw less play than he should have because he used to be so OP. It felt bad to play him and just have him be good, but he is quite good. One of the 5 to 10 best 6s in the game. This is going to make him significantly better, far more likely to win the lane when you play him, far more like acceptable as just a play when you need to drop stats. I still think he should be about a 5/6 instead of a 6/10, but what do I know? Second Dinner clearly wants to try keeping him as a big bad, the big 6. I think this card is very good and belongs in more decks. This is basically an updated version of Butt's old zoo list that runs Gilgamesh. This is a really solidly high win rate deck. I think it's still really good. I think Alioth makes it significantly better. You can perfectly fine if you Khazar on 4 especially, Gilgamesh on 5 for a shit ton of stats, line up their Shang and Alioth that away. And then you're going to win, right? Like, this is a very powerful deck. And I think Alioth is really good, and I strongly urge you to try this version of the list unless you're, like, living in Sandman hell. And a lot of what PHASTOS has done is be like, everyone should run Sandman and Mobius. Don't play this into that. But if that's not your meta, feel free to try this list. You're going to win a lot of games. All right, patch day, data mines. Let's get ready. There's going to be spoilers. Full credit to SnapFan and Marvel Snap Zone. I write for Marvel Snap Zone. I love Marvel Snap Zone. SnapFan gets some extra stuff, so make sure you check them too. All right, so we have a new keyword. It is called Activate. And per SnapFan, this looks to be a keyword describing when you can trigger an action one time at a later turn, or maybe even the turn you play. We don't know. It looks like it's a one-time trigger. There also appears to be a reference to activate cost, suggesting a future card may require you to pay an energy or do something to activate the effect. There's a video that they data mined that is that I didn't actually find. It just says, note, the video isn't suggesting Nico will have the activate keyword. It's just that the card the visual effect was attached to. The activate effect still requires a hold or a long tap to enable. So you know how you tap Howard and then you can see the top card of the deck, but you can do that whenever. This seems like a thing that you'll be able to press once, and we've got 2 cards that have the activate keyword, so we'll be able to talk about it. A thing that you press once and just make an effect happens. An effect just happens when you press it once, which I think is pretty freaking cool. That is a new functionality in Marvel Snap and the new keyword they told us about in the roadmap. Seems like it's coming in September. All right. This is the first bit of key art for the new season coming in September. Symbiote Spider-Man is the season pass card. We're getting a decent new Miles and a Spider-Man that I actually like a lot. That's a sort of like the Amazing Fantasy cover of Spider-Man. Big on that. And also some decent card backs. I'm not sad about any of this. This all feels cool. And then we've got some more key art with Silver Sable, a Symbiote Spidey, and Scarlet Spider. All right. So our season pass card is Symbiote Spider-Man. He is a 4/6. Series 5, 6,000 tokens eventually. Activate. So tap him too. Once again, tap him too. Merge your lowest cost card here with this. Copy its text like it just revealed. Okay. So I'm going to go make a few assumptions. You play this on a lane that has a 1 power card. You're going to copy that 1 power. You're going to like sort of merge with that. This will become a 7 power card. Because that's how Phoenix works, right? So like I assume this is going to work relatively similarly to Phoenix, where you're going to just sort of keep that lowest power card and get its ability again, which I think is very cool and really thematic for Symbiote Spider-Man. Obvious targets for this are this works really well like in a Ravonna style deck, right? Not Ravonna, excuse me. This works. Oh, this would work amazingly with Iron Man, but like that's a sort of a pain in the ass to do. This would work absolutely incredibly with Black Panther. This would work really great with stuff like Brood, where you're going to fill that lane with now 8 power Broodlings. This feels like a lot of power and like a really effective thing to do. Sometimes like you're going to mess up what the lowest power card thing is, but that's fine. I think this could also work reasonably well with Move. Sticking this on a dagger and then saying, let's fricking go. Doing this on a Phoenix Force seems completely hilarious, although re-triggering Phoenix Force doesn't actively do anything. You can even re-trigger a destroy card with this, right? Yeah, I think this is going to be really, really cool. Slap this on a Deadpool and then start blowing up that Deadpool. This is going to be a really, really, really cool card. I'm excited for this one. Like, this is... Look, I think Hawkeye is one of the best cards in the game. This probably isn't as good as Hawkeye, who did not have her text updated from last month. We covered Hawkeye last month when we did this, so we're not going to cover that again right now. But, like, I don't think this is as good as Hawkeye, but this is very cool and, like, a must-buy Season Pass card. Also, it's freaking Symbiote Spider-Man. Come on. All right. Then next week, we have Silver Sable. The same week, we have Silver Sable. She is a 1/1 Series 5, as everything is. On reveal, steal 2 power from the top card of your opponent's deck. Unless steal can't be countered by Luke Cage, this is terrible. If steal goes through Luke Cage, this might be okay, but my working assumption is this is not going to be a very good card. Cool. And furthering the idea that it's not a very good card is that it comes with Mockingbird, who is, as I told everyone in the podcast a few weeks ago and got yelled at for, either the best or one of the like 2 or 3 best cards in Marvel Snap, the single best build around card right now. We don't know what the third card is. My hope is it's like a U.S. Agent style card, like it's U.S. Agent, a card that we haven't seen yet be in spotlights, but who the hell knows. If it's U.S. Agent, Mockingbird, and Silver Sable, then you open for Mockingbird and U.S. Agent and call it a day. As far as the variants go, I don't like this Silver Sable very much, but I think this Mockingbird's pretty cool. I bought the super cool Mockingbird on a boat thing, so I never need another Mockingbird unless they make a hit. Oh, by the way, at the end of the video, we're going to look at some variants before questions of the day, too. All right. Madam Web, this is the card that I was alluding to earlier with Hercules. New card 9/10, coming out on 9/10. She is a 2/3, which means you can curve her into Hercules. Series 5 says tokens, you move one of your other cards away from here each turn. So she basically turns any card you play there into Nightcrawler, which is amazing. Or Vision, pick one, for that turn. So, like, you play her there, then you play Hercules somewhere, and then you just drop a Vulture, right? You drop a Vulture, and then that Vulture will move to that. You can choose to move that Vulture from there to that Hercules lane, which has at least a chance of throwing Madam Web back for you to do it again and again. That's nuts, right? Like, this card has a lot of power. I don't know what else to say except that I think this is going to be super sweet. This is also going to be really good with Professor X, where like you just sort of drop Professor X and anything you had already played in that lane, just now you can Professor X it to wherever the hell you want. This gives a move trigger to everything. This is going to be one of the best cards in the game if it comes out as is. This is like the move enabler that we've been waiting for. And again, this is completely silly, stupid, bonkers face with Hercules. All right, I like the actual base art on this a fair amount. I don't like the Spotlight for Madam Web, but it comes with Silk, which is nice because that's another move card, so at least there's some synergy there. And it comes with a very cool Alioth. If Alioth ends up meta, this is when you can get him. I know that's waiting a couple months, but hey, at least there's that. This is almost exactly a year, like a week before a year that Alioth came out. Silk is fine. You're not sad to have Silk. Series 4 card, though. I think they know Madam Web's going to be great, and they put 2 less than desirable cards with it. Or 2 less desirable, not less than. They're, like, not bad cards. They're just not as insane as Madam Web, because I think she's the first nuts card that you can get this season. Because I don't think that Silver Sable is going to be especially good. Next up, we have ARAñA, coming out on 9/17. ARAñA. Let's go ARAñA, because I believe... Oh, there is an Enya. Excuse me, I missed the Enya. So ARAñA is Series 5, 6,000 tokens. Activate. Give the last card you played +2 power and move it to the right. And then to the right, you can have either Hercules or what's her name? Help me. Or Madame Web. And if then like you just chuck a Human Torch, give it +2 power, push it to the right into Hercules. Now it would be a 4, but now it's an 8, right? And then you flip it again. You just made a 1/16. No problem, right? And it's an activate, so you just sort of do it whenever you want. Let's go. You can do this with Dagger for a crazy, crazy end of the game. You can do this with Vulture, obviously. This is going to be sick. This is also going to be, assuming, if you can activate the same turn you play a card, this is going to finally make 2099 playable. These last 2 cards are like the move cards of our dreams. These are so good. Activate is amazing for move, because the problem with move is sequencing, and like you have to plan out from like a million turns in advance. Not with these cards, you don't. These cards give you that flexibility that move has so long lacked. All right, this is the week to open. If you're opening 1 week this month and you need to save 4 and you don't have these cards, Sage isn't one of the best cards in Marvel Snap. I don't see that going anywhere. And Ms. Marvel is always a card that you want to have if you don't have it. So this is the week to open. I also really love that ARAñA variant, so I'm all about this. I think that this is where to go. This is the best week of this season, bar none. Although I'm not sure ARAñA is quite as good as Madame Web herself. I think Sage being so much better than the other cards in the other month mean that ARAñA's week is the one to open. Scarlet Spider, another silly, powerful card. This is a not a move card, though. 9/24 comes out Scarlet Spider as a 4/5. Activate. Add an exact clone of this to another location. So you play Scarlet Spider, you press it whenever you want, which means it might or might not work on the last turn. We don't know. You press it whenever you want, and it's just going to like spit another Scarlet Spider to another location. That's 410 in stats. We better wait to see what happens with Zabu, but if Zabu is at all good, this is nuts. This is just a lot of stats. Thank God this isn't a Surfer card. Someone made this in the custom card challenge fairly recently. If that was you or you know who that was, please let me know in the comments. But like someone made something that was just like this. So like if you give this a strength bump, if you like forge into this, you'll get 2 4/7s, which just like if you play this in certain locations, right? You play this into your island, you just get 2 4 whatevers. I'm not sure if like static effects will carry over, right? Like if you play this into Nidavellir and you make the copy, will the copy be a 410? I would assume not, but like it's worth at least looking into. Merging this and then you should be able to get extra copies, right? Is just insane. Like if you merge this with Symbiote Spider-Man, you should be able to get 3 of these. So like, let's frickin' go. That seems insane. This card seems nuts good. I'm very excited for it. What does it come with? It comes with Scar and White Widow. So those of you who are like, White Widow's everywhere. Yep, this is when you can get her. I know this is 3 more months, but hey, it's only 3 more months. And Scar is also another card that you would like to generally have. I'd rather have the week prior. Given, if you don't like move, this is a better card. I think that like, look, thing we've learned in Marvel Snap is having a lot of stats is almost always really, really important. Scarlet Spider says you can have a lot of stats for really cheap. That means it's a really good card, right? The other cards are enablers or they're fancy. This is just our stat stick of the month, and stat stick of the month is good. Also, this White Widow is gorgeous. Holy shit, I don't think I looked at it that closely. Not a bad Scar, but this White Widow is off the charts. And I don't usually love Venomized bullshit, but like this one's so good. All right, that is our cards for the month of September. Again, I think that this is probably the second week to open if you don't have White Widow. I'd rather have, generally speaking, this is the week that Aranya week if you don't have Sage as the week. Then if you don't have White Widow, it's the Scarlet Spider week. Then it's the Madame Web week, and the Silver Sable week is a Nothing Burger. We have an updated card coming at the end of the month. Cassandra Nova is the Deadpool's Diner free card, the first free card they've given us since Kitty Frickin' Pride. Although we can argue that certain updates to completely unplayable cards sort of make them new cards. I'm sympathetic to that argument. Cassandra Nova is a 3/1. Her text changed to steal 1 power from each card in your opponent's deck, which means she's definitely going to gain that power. Which means if you play her on turn 3, she's going to be a 3/6 or 3/7, which is fine. Is Thanos or Arisha meta? If the answer to either of those questions are yes, she's completely freaking insane. If the answer to either of those questions are no, I don't think she's going to be very good, but at least now we understand what she does. Steel makes a lot more sense. And again, we still need to learn if Steel is affected by Luke Cage. My inclination is it is, and we all just start running Luke Cage because Ajax, who is +1 for every card on the board that has negative power, is I think going to be silly. So I'm excited for Cassandra Nova if these caveats apply. Marvel Boy goes from the best card ever. He was a 3/3 that gave 3 of your 1 cost +2 power. Now he's a 3/2 that gives 3 of your 1 cost cards +1 power. Sorry, at the end of each turn. So if you play him and you have Squirrel Girl out, that's immediately a 3/5. Then after the next turn, a Squirrel Girl is not destroyed, that's immediately a 3/8. By the end of turn 4, you have a 3/8. By the end of turn 5, you've got a 3/11. By the end of turn 6, you've got a 3/14. That's silly. That's going to be great. Killmonger better be everywhere. This might be the card that makes Kara great. I think Marvel Boy is a card I'm dying to play. We know that Zoo can be meta because we just came out of a moment where Zoo was meta, so I can see this pushing Zoo back to the top. It's also really cool, and Marvel Boy is such a cool character. So much love for this one as well. Alright, we got some more stuffs to talk about very quickly. This is stuff we're not going to go over in as much detail because it doesn't really fit the purview of the channel, but there's new borders. I spelled borders very interestingly. Distressed Red, Distressed Blue, Matte Black, Matte Red, and Cosmic Black. If you care about borders, have fun. I keep all my borders gold, so they do nothing for me. New reference cards, which one would assume are the October cards, are, oh my god, that's not the name, Volk, Frigga, and Malekith. So we've got 3 new cards coming, at least. It seems like we're getting an Asgard-themed season. Not bad. There's new card backs, emotes, and then the new albums coming. These are what I'm excited for. We've got a Flaviano one, where I have almost all the cards. A Pandora's Box one, and a Luca Claretti one, which I have a few of them. But what's really cool is we got an album for Deadpool, Wolverine, and America Chavez. I did not see this on Snap Zone, but SnapFan has the full albums. Like, they're just an album of all these cards variants. If you have either Spotlight variants or bundle variants, they count as like wild cards. They count as filling your album. And like, I've already got these almost full. I'm at like almost the whole thing for all of these because these are just very common cards. So I think I'm at like the second to top rank for both Deadpool, Wolverine, and America, which means basically, hey, the second they release these, I get some free resources. I'm super excited. Let's freaking go. Release these like now. Alright, these are some of my favorite regular variants. I just think these are cool. We've got an Agent Venom. I don't know if they're releasing an Agent Venom card. I hope so. But even as a Venom variant, I'd play the shit out of this, even over a hip. I loved Agent Venom. I thought it was a phenomenal book. I don't like Eddie Brock, but I think Flash Thompson is a super compelling character. Next up, we have Kitty Pryde. This is coming in a bundle. We have no idea what Agent Venom is. It could be a card. It could be a variant. We don't know. We've got Kitty Pryde coming in a bundle. I like it a lot. This is based on the modern Kitty Pryde in the current X-Men comics, where she sort of goes off the deep end a little bit during the end of the Krakoa era. I think this is great design. I will be buying this almost no matter what. Then we've got Gilgamesh, and you can call that Gilgamesh all you want, but that is repurposed Red Hood art. I think that's really cool, and I like it, so I'm probably grabbing it, but thanks for the cool Red Hood. Dr. Octopus, this is a Conquest variant. I like Doc Ock. I think Doc Ock is kind of a stupid character, but I really like characters in a suit. I think he looks really cool here. And Nocturne, I need a variant for, so this one I'm assuming is in Spotlights because there's not another Nocturne coming, but I want it. It's gorgeous. It's really beautiful. I think this is a really nice piece of art. More variant stuff. We've got comic covers. So we've got 2 Walt Simonsons and a Kirby and a Cockrum, and then I don't remember who drew Secret Wars. Ooh, I should, but I don't. It wasn't Perez, was it? Whatever. The Symbiote Spidey is must own to me. The Beta Ray Bill from his first appearance is must have to me. I don't actually care about the Destroyer. It is still Walt Simonson, like the Beta Ray Bill, but I don't care. Hercules I must have because I must own Jack Kirby art, and I do not like this Kitty Pryde. I hate the sprite artwork on Kitty Pryde. I think it's like the weird mask thing with the terrible uniform. I'm not a fan of. So I'm not huge on the Kitty, or the Destroyer, but I want the others. Like bad. I love the Beta Ray Bill sort of smashing through the Thor. The Walt Simonson Thor run is still one of the greatest comic book runs ever. So you should check that out if you have access to it in Marvel Unlimited or anywhere else. I love that they're doing so many more of these and they're not limiting them to high series stuff. Next up, we got some new hips. We got a Daredevil. I like this, but the Peach Momoko Daredevil is like the best art in the game, so I also have the really cool Spotlight Deathstrike where like she's all in black. So will I run the hip? Probably, but it's close. I've got the Meltdown Havoc, so the Havoc is rough, and then I'm 1000% running this Taskmaster. So I want the shit out of this Taskmaster. But the others, I'm all like, but you're messing with some of my favorite variants in the game, so we'll have to see. But hey, I'm never sad for new Dan hip art, and I will obviously be getting them immediately. Questions of the day, and then we're done. This one is almost all our Patreon friends. So, Fat Nick, oh god, did I update the Patreon here? God, I hope so. Friends, if I messed up my Patreon list today, please don't be mad at me. It took me forever to make this slideshow. There's so much stuff on here. So Fat Nick wants to know exactly how Pixie works. Alright, so basically you play Pixie. She looks at the cards in your deck and shuffles their cost. However, a card could end up back at its original cost. So it's going to like just say you have let's say it's late in the game. You have a 2, a 3, and a 6 in your deck. It's going to say those cards have no values and just assign them randomly 2, 3, or 6. Once the 6 is done, it's off the table. Once the 3 is done, it's off the table. Once the 2 is done, it's off the table. But it has just as much likelihood of hitting the 6 becoming a 6 again as the 6 becoming a 3. It's annoying, but that's how it works. Cool. Skippy G asked my favorite base art, and it's actually something brand new. I absolutely adore the Makari base art. I think it's so freaking cool. The lightning crackling, it feels amazing. I love Makari's base art. Ryan Wood is curious what I'd do if I couldn't teach, write, edit. That's what I was planning on doing before I became a teacher. One day, I don't know if I ever have, I'll tell you the story if anyone asks, wants to know. The story of how I became a teacher. It was very accidental, and I love it, but it was very accidental. So if I couldn't teach, I would write, edit. At this point in my life, content create, but when I was young, that didn't exist. So I would be a writer in all likelihood. I think I could make a living writing. Fire Troll asked if I had enough time, energy, and space, what animal I would have as a pet, and a big old sea turtle. I would have enough space and have a big old sea turtle. I love turtles. They're my favorite animal. Well, turtles and cats, but I have one of those. Two Ties wants to know what Series 3 only deck can get you at Infinite, and that's such an easy question. Patriot. There is, so, I don't know, it was like, God, time really goes fast. In October or November of last year, which is a really long time ago, I think it was November, which was a really long time ago, but doesn't feel that long ago in Marvel Snap terms, I took a Series 3 only Patriot deck and hit Infinite with it just to prove that I could. So Series 3, if you are only playing Series 3 cards, how do you get Infinite? You play Patriot. Is there anything else that can do it? Yep, pretty sure Surfer could too. Almost all the important Surfer cards except Shaw are Series 3, and I think you could be fine without Shaw. Yeah, that's around where I would lean. You'd have a shot at like a Wong deck or a Sandman deck as well. I don't think the high series stuff is required for any of that. All right, questions done. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. So we are going to check out patreon.com/snapjudgments and tell me, woohoo, I did copy it. And we are going to thank our patrons. We got Abigail Gislin, Mandatory Burnout, Cables watching again every day. Thank you, Cables. Regardless, David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, LAB, always kind, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer, This Is the Way, all the way from Scotland, Inc. I am Frostman, you are. Jane Everett, Doomer, hey Doomer, Prime Brian, check out Prime Mind from our friend Prime Brian, Kirtix Lee, King of Questions, Koi Ray, coming all the way from Japan, Hi Roforos, who is a wonderful person, the Goat Seeker, my regular opponent, Denman Falcon, check him out on YouTube, Joe Pro, killing it, Doc D, the king of Marvel Snap, new cards. If you want another take on these new cards, check out Doc D's video on it. He will be on the podcast in a couple weeks. Fat Nick, Toku, Ginger Prime, hey Ginge, Philip Rakovich, the Ratko, Haplo, hey Caplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, Rob Silverman, one of the OGs, the Notorious The Bizza, Exorcist V and Skippy G, Tommy Nyquist, who won Snapchat League Season 1, the King of Bros, bro, Black Dahlia, the Great Kazoo, Jessica Gamble, Ryan Wood, hey Woody, you just got a question through, Kev Ciota, Luna Chris, who I owe something and I don't remember what. Luna Chris, message me. It's been a hectic day. Oh, I'll explain that before we head out too. Archangel 3K, one of our new friends. My former student, Lou Antunes. Mod Supreme Models, the one and only Darth Tater. Remus Atala, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin. Jason B, hey Jay. The Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrum X, Matt H, DJ Mikey Hijinks, No Frickin' Flex, Ocularis, Mr. Craig Sterry, Seamus, Spike Jones, Jonesy. Two Ties, who got me that list that I'll be featuring. The Pirate King Tuccrr, the homie man, and of course getting T, where the T stands for. I'm actually going to take a moment of privilege to talk about something not about my life that I wanted to say. Pretty Chill, drop Marvel Snap. Pretty Chill has been here from day one of my earliest supporters. I don't know how many of you know Pretty Chill, but Pretty Chill has been like with us from the start. Just such a nice person. Always like Pretty Chill was the like perfect name. Always real easy to talk to. Always really fun. So Pretty Chill, you are going to be missed. Not about the Patreon, anything else. Just being a member of this community. I hope you enjoy the rest of your journey, even as it takes you away from Marvel Snap. All right, closing time. I told you I'd tell you about what my week was like. All right, so what the hell? Yes, 2 days ago, whatever day it was. Time is literally lost all meaning. If you don't care about my personal life, just ignore this part, right? So it's Son's last week of school. At the same time, it's my last week of work, except I have to go back to work for a whole bunch of shit. I'm helping interview for assistant principals and this and that and the other thing. And we're doing like some planning tomorrow morning. So it's really late at night as I'm recording this, but like what the fuck ever at this point. 2 days ago, it's like the end of the school year. I do individual testing. It's called the individual oral as part of my IB class. With every kid I teach, one at a time, for like weeks at the end of the year. And it burns me out and it's terrible. And I still have a million union things to do. And everything's getting accomplished. We're helping to build things that are going to better the school and yada, yada, yada. Things are going really well, right? I finally finished IOs. I finally get like a day to myself. I start to finish all my grades. I finish all the stuff, all my responsibilities. And I decided to go for, I went to Burger King. Burger King has amazing breakfast. If you're not aware of this, Burger King is secretly the best fast food breakfast. So we decided to go to Burger King, grab Burger King. But I made the mistake of getting coffee there. Coffee is fucking disgusting. Like utterly like undrinkable garbage. So we decide to just like chuck that coffee and go to Dunkin', a work friend of mine and myself. We walk into Dunkin', and a former student is there, lights up when she sees me. We walk around. 2 seconds later, the second like she took her order, she walked around and just started bawling, just lost it bawling, hugging her, bawling, talking things through. So now like I talk to her friends, and now I'm like her emotional support person because she's like trying to cut her friends off because of other drama. But you got to make sure that once they're my kids, they're always my kids. You got to make sure they're safe and healthy. So I spent most of the rest of my day, and that day had to be Tuesday because that's how days work, doing that. Like just making sure she's okay. We're having lunch next Tuesday, I think, to like, actually talk it out and see what the hell is going on properly. I have an idea, but I'm not going to spread her whole business just in case on a video. So I get that Tuesday, right? And then days of the week are so gone. No, that was Monday, excuse me. And then Tuesday is prom, and I still have to set up a bunch of stuff for the kids' graduation, and all the union stuff is actually finally done. So like Tuesday, I finally get all of my work done. And then 3 new union meetings pop up on me. They finish. I come home. I blast out that video. I get ready. I go to prom. I go to dinner. Come back from prom, and I'm just so emotionally beat. And like today was the last day of school, and tonight was supposed to be graduation, and I'm really excited. We've got we're done. I've got to go in the next day, sure, but like it's just planning stuff. We're done. I can like have my emotional moment with the kids. Well, tomorrow night, because of frickin' course, graduation was moved due to potential rain to Thursday night. So all of my plans, which included finding babysitting for my son and getting my wife dinner for a few days to make sure that everything was all set up. Graduation is now tomorrow, except my son is now like in the Bronx half the day at his grandfather's, and now he has to go to my mother's house so I can go to graduation. My mother's house so we can go to graduation. Because my wife asked if she could make plans Thursday because I was supposed to be done. And I was like, yeah, of course. I don't want to make her cancel her plans. So tomorrow now, I should definitely be sleeping right now. I have to wake up extra early to take my son to the Bronx, to my dad's house, to then drive to work, to do work all day. To then go back to the Bronx, to then come home and try and set up a video and podcast really quickly, like warp speed. Then to go back to the Bronx to pick him up, to bring him to my mother's house, to go straight to graduation, to do graduation, to come home from graduation in time for KX4N and Ava Zord are on the podcast tomorrow night, straight into the podcast, which I have to find time to set up, straight into recording the video for Friday. And then I'm finally, I'm not free, but that should be my last utter chaos day. And then I get to be a real boy again. So that is the end of my spiel. Thank you so much for watching. Know how much I appreciate all of you, especially those of you who gave enough of a shit to hear me rant about how busy I'm going to be for a couple days. So I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow for another Snap Take. I've got so many Fastos decks that I think one of them is really good, and the rest of them I need proof for. Peace.